I want to talk to you about facing your fears before you set a boundary. Why do you need to do that? Because setting boundaries can be scary. And if you don't face your fears before, you either won't set the boundary or you'll back down the minute that somebody gives you any kind of pushback. What is pushback? Pushback is what people do to get you to drop your boundary. They react to you. They tell you that they're going to set a boundary of their own to kind of one up you. They tell you that they're mad at you, that it's going to ruin the relationship. They tell you that you're a bad mom. They tell you you're a bad dad, spouse, brother, sister, grandmother, friend, parent, whatever it is. They're going to tell you that you're doing something that is bad to get you to doubt yourself, to get you to think, well, maybe I am. Maybe this boundary is too strict. Maybe this boundary isn't right. They're going to somehow punish you and get you to feel like the cost is just not worth it. So you need to back down. Whatever it is that they think will get to you is what they will do. And if they do something and it doesn't work, they'll try something else. So facing your fears before setting a boundary is basically saying to yourself, what do I think could possibly happen? What if this person cannot do what I need in order to stay in this relationship? Or what if this person makes a choice that I don't like? What if this person makes a choice that is painful for me? Am I going to be okay? Can I live with that? Will I stand strong? The last thing that you want to do is to set a boundary and then back down. Why? Because it's like the boy who cried wolf. Next time you set a boundary, person isn't going to believe you. Going to think that you're going to do the exact same thing again. And you're not going to feel good about yourself. You're not going to feel like you can trust yourself. So before you set that boundary, before you even start thinking about your boundaries, ask yourself, what could possibly happen? What am I afraid of? What is my fear? I'm afraid of this person's reaction. I'm afraid of their feelings. I'm afraid of their punishment. I'm afraid of their whatever it is. Just kind of look at it and then walk through it and say, okay, this could happen. Is it worth setting this boundary? Am I willing to take this risk? Am I willing to face my fear, walk through it, and risk whatever it is that I'm afraid of? Sometimes, no. Sometimes you're not ready, and that's okay. You don't have to set a boundary until you're ready. If you're not ready, you say to yourself, okay, I'm either one, going to get clearer on what's going on that isn't okay with me. I'm going to get stronger to where I can set that boundary and not back down. Or I'm going to, and or you could do all of those, speak the truth in love until I'm ready to set a boundary. What does that mean? Speaking the truth in love before your boundary is basically saying, I don't know how much longer I can live with this. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I'm really worried about you. I'm concerned about your health. I'm concerned about your safety. I'm sad about our relationship. I don't feel good about our relationship. I am uncomfortable and feel offended the way you talk to me. I believe that this is abusive. I don't like being talked down to. I don't like having you yell at me. Okay, all of these things. Or I don't like calling you and having you criticize me the whole time. I don't like being compared to my sister. I don't like being accused of not caring. Whatever it is, saying you don't like something, saying that something hurts, saying that you can't do something, those are not boundaries. Those are not lines in the sand. Those are not saying you will or won't do something. Those are just saying how you feel, what's going on with you. You can do that for as long as you want and need to. You don't have to set a boundary until you are 100% ready. What does it mean to be ready? It means that you have clarity, which means you can see clearly, you can think clearly. It makes perfect sense to you about what's going on. You are very clear on it. And with that clarity comes often a strength to be able to set that boundary and follow through because one, you know that you know that you know that this is what's going on, that is not okay with you. You know that you know that you know that you cannot do this anymore. You know that you have reached the end of your line, end of your rope, and this is it. You're ready. This is no longer okay with you. This is something that you know you need to do for yourself. That's when you're ready to set a boundary. When you are very clear, you have the ability to see the situation, and you know that no matter what the person's reaction is, no matter what the person says, no matter what the person does, no matter what the person chooses, the person makes a choice that you're hoping is not the choice, but it does happen, that's okay. That is better than you living with the situation as it is or continuing the way that it is. You have strength, you have clarity, you know that this is your bottom line. So, the definition of a boundary is what you will or will not do, sometimes about what someone else does or doesn't do. It focuses on you. It isn't really about telling the other person, you can't do this, can't yell at me, you can't take money out of my purse, you can't drink in the house, you can't use drugs in the house, you can't be abusive, you can't take my car and not bring it back in time for me to go to work. Like, these are all things that you can tell the person, and people often try, but that person can do anything they want to do, and you have no control over it. So you need instead to focus on what you will or won't do, because you do have control over that as long as you stand strong and stand firm in the boundary that you've set. What is that? That means I will or I will not do this. I will not allow you to use my car when I need to be at work at any time during that day. Okay, that's, you can control that. You're not going to give the person the car. The person can get mad, the person can ask, the person can beg. You're not doing it. You already know that this is not going to work, or that you will not be able to stay in the marriage if the addiction continues, if the abuse continues, if the lying continues, or the deceit continues, the lack of financial honesty, the lack of financial like integrity, or showing you what's going on. You know that you can't do that. So you can say, I will not stay in the marriage unless all the finances are disclosed to me, or I will not continue to give you my check if you're not giving me control of the finances when you're spending everything and racking up all this debt. Whatever that is, you know that you've thought this through, you know the situation, and you've just reached that point where that's it. You know what you're willing to do and not willing to do. Now, it can be really scary, back to those fears, to have somebody call your bluff or manipulate you to try to get you to back down, push you in a corner, or just say, fine, then I don't care. Go, leave a marriage, leave a relationship, kick me out of the house, take the car away. I just won't go to my job. Like, I don't care. And you have to stop, question yourself, and regroup. And it can be, I've been there many, many times. It's really scary. And this is where you need to pull yourself back together, remember the reasons that you got to the point that you set this boundary. You can no longer do things status quo. You need to make this change to be true to yourself, to live according to your values, to be comfortable, to be safe, to be okay, to be whatever it is, to feel good about yourself. This is the place that you got to, and you are not going to back down, because you're not going to go back and be just invalidate your own feelings and your own needs. It's really helpful, especially in big decisions, big boundaries, things that involve kicking a child out or separating in a marriage or divorcing in a marriage or cutting off a relationship, it's really helpful to write yourself a letter to yourself. Just for me, it would be, Dear Carla, the reason that you got to the point where you are set this boundary to blank is because of the following. And then I would list all the things that got me to that point. You know, this is going to be hard for you. You know that you don't want this person to make a choice to leave the relationship or to say that they won't go into recovery or, whatever that is. But remember, you got to this point because this was killing you. This was more than you can handle. This made you feel horrible about yourself. The stress was eating you alive. You were getting sick. Your doctor told you you had to do something different. Whatever the reasons were, you remind yourself. Then during that process, when you are doubting yourself after you've set that boundary, you go back and you read that letter and you remind yourself, hey, this is why I got to this place. A lot of times difficult people will be manipulative, and when they know that you kind of serious about your boundary, then they'll go and they'll pretend that they'll do everything you want them to do, and it'll last for a little while until you relax your boundary, you get kind of comfortable, and then the behavior comes back again. So you have to remember that. And then the other thing is that a difficult person may kind of test you, and they may push to see, is she serious? Let's call her bluff. I'm going to say, okay, fine, go, leave. I'll leave. I don't care. That's when the panic sets in again, and that's when you need to again remind yourself of the reason. And I'm going to tell you, it isn't necessarily guaranteed that a difficult person who gives you a hard time and says no won't eventually, after they've thought it through and you've stood your ground and you don't back down, they may change and they may say, okay, fine, I'll go to recovery. I'll look for that job. I'll go to counseling. I'll do what it is that you need me to do. I figure out another way to get to work. I won't lose my job over not driving the car. So you don't know. So you have to, another reason you stand strong is because they might just be testing you, and you need to make sure that you don't give in. That's why facing your fears first is really important, because then you'll know, okay, I know what to expect. I'm ready. I know I have no other choice. I'm going to follow through with this, and I'm going to stick through it. And that way you have the highest possibility or probability that you're going to stay strong in the boundaries that you've set and not set up a precedent of backing down for them when you get pressured and you feel afraid. So my favorite verse that has to do with this is probably yours. And my favorite version for this verse is the New King James Version, and it's 2 Timothy 1:7, and it says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Sound mind means that you have reason and good judgment, and power instead of fear. Power meaning that you have the ability to be strong, that you do not feel like you have no power in a relationship or you have no power to stand true to your own values, and of love. And another version says that it is self-discipline. So whether you look at power, self-discipline, love, sound mind, all of those things, you can have that instead of a spirit of fear that makes it impossible for you to set a boundary when you know that you are at that place where you absolutely need to be setting a boundary. And Proverbs 14:8 says, the wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. So giving thought to your ways, thinking it through first, is really wise. So I hope this has helped you, and I hope that you will check out my resources, my classes, all of the things that I have available for you on my website that are to help you to grow strong in your difficult relationships, to where you can implement healthy principles. So, God bless you, and thank you for watching.